Michael Wood.
Very good choice, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a pleasure to take the call to speak on the Taxation, Business Tax, Exchange of Information and Remedial Matters Bill, although I must concede some disappointment that the Minister hasn't stuck around after the dinner break. I have very fond memories of one of my first political...
Don't refer to members' presence or not.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have very fond memories of earlier debates with the Minister. My first political debate, in fact, when we engaged over the question of the Iraq War, and I've admired the Minister's tenacity and consistency since then, even sometimes in the face of overwhelming facts. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to begin on a positive note by drawing attention to the aspects of this bill that Labor supports, and of course we are supporting this bill with some reservations which I will come to later. And those positive aspects have been noted by colleagues earlier, and they relate to parts 2 and 3 of the bill, where across the House there is very strong support for measures to simplify and streamline taxation matters for businesses, particularly small businesses, in respect of provisional tax. And I think, Mr. Speaker, that's something that we can all applaud across this House, as we've heard during the speeches this evening. Various parties, and certainly my own party, the Labor Party, have for a long time advocated for these kinds of measures. In every single one of our constituencies across the country, we have small businesses, often operating with real constraints, people putting themselves on the line, doing what they can to contribute to our community and employ people, and the question of provisional tax is a difficult one for them. Cash flow can be lumpy and unpredictable at the very best of times. And what we know about most of the small businesses, and there are about 110,000 that fall in this category, is that most of them want to do the right thing. Most of them want to contribute to our community. Most of them want to pay the tax that they know that they owe to keep our society and our community going. But we've got to find ways of making it easier and more manageable for them. And so the measures in this bill which lessen penalties, which streamline the system, and most importantly, which deal with those tricky things around provisional tax, are to be commended, and the Labor Party fulsomely supports them. But moving on to the reservations, Mr. Speaker, to me the question here is about doing a job and doing it properly the first time, not identifying a problem and doing half a job of fixing it up. And in respect of foreign trusts, that's what we are seeing in this bill. What we have at the moment is no transparency about foreign trusts in our country. This bill gives us some transparency, but it is most certainly not enough transparency. Mr. Speaker, it's my view that an important starting point is to define the problem and to actually concede that there is a problem here. And that might be the issue at hand, because, of course, the government was very, very reluctant and very, very tardy to concede that there was a problem to begin with. And we have to remember, Mr. Speaker, that it was back in 2013 that officials from the IRD came to the government and said, we have a serious issue with foreign trusts. It's not just a matter of technical interest. This is something that is putting New Zealand's international reputation on the line. IRD came to the government, came to the Minister with that view which they had formed. And they'd formed it on the basis of good evidence. They'd been watching, they'd been observing, they'd seen that foreign trusts had increased from 6,000 to around 12,000 between 2006 and 2012. And they took that to the Minister. And what happened? Well, we know what happened. We know that there were discussions between the Minister and the Prime Minister, and we know that the work that IRD commenced in this area got cut off at the knees. And then we went through that farcical period, Mr. Speaker, where we had the news of Mossack Fonseca raining down through our media. We had our leading business journalists, people like Matt Nippert, Fran O'Sullivan, pointing to the fact that there is a significant problem in this area, that foreign trusts were making a mockery of New Zealand's reputation, something that Mr. Bishop is appalled by. I can see that right now. But the government continued to resist. The former Prime Minister, Mr. Key, what did he say? He said that we had transparency. He said that it was economic sabotage to be considering bringing in greater transparency to the foreign trust regime in New Zealand. But the heat simply got to be too much for this government. And eventually after huge pressure, we got the Shewan report. And what he said was very clear. He said that our existing rules were not fit for purpose. They were not fit for purpose. And there's one very important thing which he added on to that. He said they were not fit for purpose in respect of our cooperation with other jurisdictions. And I want to return to why that's important a little later, Mr Speaker. I do want to turn back now to what the bill actually does deliver, because it does deliver some transparency. It means that we will have a record of the names of trusts, the settlement details, and trustee and settlor contacts. And that is a good start. It means that police and IRD, where they have reason to believe that there is something criminal or improper going on, have the ability to pull that information up. But there is an obvious Rumsfeldian problem, Mr Speaker, and that is the problem of unknown unknowns, because what we do not have is a truly open and a truly transparent register, which is the obvious thing to do. It's the obvious thing to do. What we are relying upon are investigating authorities from other regimes, from other jurisdictions, knowing that there's a problem and sort of having enough detail to mount a bit of a fishing expedition. And, Mr Speaker, I haven't heard in any of the speeches that have been provided by the government in this debate any good reason put forward for that lack of transparency whatsoever. And Labor is asking the question, and when Labor has the ability to make a change here, we will ensure that foreign trusts are fully searchable through a register. And that's where I want to come back to the question of not fit for purpose. Not fit for purpose, according to Mr Shewan, in respect of our cooperation with other jurisdictions. Well, how are we enhancing that cooperation with our friends and allies if they sort of have to sniff around and ask the right questions to try and uncover details of potentially criminal dealings and tax evasion from their citizens, taking advantage of New Zealand's foreign tax trust law status? And the question as well has to be why, when New Zealand companies and New Zealand charities are on a fully searchable register, would we provide this level of protection to foreign trusts? Mr Bailey, speaking earlier, spoke of foreign trusts as if they were businesses. Well, they're not. They're not. Foreign trusts don't contribute anything to our country. They're not paying taxes to support our system here in New Zealand. These are wealthy individuals from overseas jurisdictions who are often hiding wealth in highly unethical ways, and there's plenty of literature on that. Why would we not? Why would we give them a greater cloak of secrecy than we give charities and companies, Kiwi charities and companies in New Zealand? And that is something that this government has signally failed to answer, and that needs to be resolved. Mr Speaker, as has been outlined by my colleagues, the bill also stops short of implementing phase 2 of the anti-money laundering provisions. And again, there's been no explanation offered in the debate in this House on that. And, you know, what we always hear from the government benches, whenever regulations are introduced, whenever there's a suggestion that regulations should be introduced, is this argument, oh, well, you've got to be very careful about that because the smart lawyers will always find a way round. And that's often given as a reason for not introducing public good regulations. Well, what we're doing in this case, Mr Speaker, is we're leaving gaping big holes that we can identify, because we're not bringing real estate in, we're not bringing the lawyers in, and we're not bringing the accountants in, when there is plenty of evidence that if you close off one avenue, that's where the hot money from overseas will go to be laundered. Is it still a big issue? Well, absolutely yes it is. My colleague Mr Robertson referred to the IMDb case, which has been made major international news, again affecting New Zealand's reputation. It's impacted in our court system, and you have to ask, why does a foreign trust that owns a Bombardier plane, penthouses in New York, has hundreds of millions of dollars of these assets in overseas jurisdictions, what is the point of that trust being registered here in New Zealand? It does absolutely no good for our country, and it can only raise a suspicion of our friends and allies on the international stage that our institutions are being used to rip them off. So in that respect, sir, this bill does not meet that test of Mr Shewan's of enhancing our reputation and ensuring that we are cooperating with other jurisdictions that we would want to be cooperating with, sir. And I might note the comments from Mr Michael Littlewood from the University of Auckland, who noted that around the world we have tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars sloshing around internationally in these trusts. And I say, sir, that we should have absolute transparency over what is happening there. So I just want to finish by saying that the Prime Minister began the year by saying that the government had registered its limits, and it's kind of like that with foreign trusts as well. They knew there was political pressure, they had to do something, but they've reached the limits and they aren't delivering the transparency that we need, sir. Thank you.